Why don't we do this? We'll start with a quick little intro. We'll go down the line. And Tad, thank you so much for showing up on time. No, I'm kidding.
Barely.
Yeah, just kidding.
I like to be fashionably late.
That's
That was
perfect.
Marilyn Monroe's thing.
Yeah.
She was like, make an entrance.
Perfect.
So I wore a very subtle color and
Awesome.
showed up
Yeah.
right on time.
Perfect.
I'm Taya DiCarlo, for those of you I haven't met. And I'm one of the founding agents of the South Bay office in Los Angeles. I joined Compass in the winter of 2017. And the reason why I came to Compass was for the technology and the tools, because I felt like I was surrounded by agents who wanted to do it but weren't doing it. And I was doing video on my Instagram page back in 2015. So I came to Compass specifically to elevate my game, and that's what I did.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Michelle?
Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Parra, and I am out of the Rodeo office in Beverly Hills on Voyage with Ari Afshar. And I came to Compass because they unapologetically want you to be authentically you. And that's what I was all about. I just wanted to be me, not change anything, and keep it moving. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on.
Hi, guys. For those of you I haven't met, I'm David Yoon. Is my mic on or no?
I think, is it on? Yeah, I think we're
Yeah,
good.
so I'm David Yoon. I run the 88 group out of the Santa Monica office. I've been with Compass for almost 7 years now, and it's changed quite a bit. But I'm telling you, as large as we've gotten, the people, everything has stayed the same way that it was from day one for me. And I appreciate every one of you guys for being the way you are.
Thank you. Corinne, give everyone a quick background of you, too, just because I gave my version of Corinne. But just to put you on the spot.
This is not on the agenda.
Yeah.
I don't think my mic works. Does that work?
I don't think so. Is hers on?
Can I borrow yours? Oh yeah, probably. Okay. My name's Corinne Ingracia, and I have been working in social media marketing, digital marketing for about 14 years now. And Sky and I met about 2 years ago. Starting the 6AMERS Instagram page, and kind of grown from there. So I do a lot of freelancing. I've actually been freelancing most of my career with professionals, and specifically with people looking to build out their personal brands, because that is definitely totally different beast when it comes to social media, to build your personal brand versus like a company. So that's kind of my specialty. And yeah, I am going to be putting together like a course. I just kind of branched out into some one-on-one strategy, because some of you guys have like teams and stuff that actually do the day-to-day management, but you kind of just need like that blueprints, right? Like that plan. So that's pretty much where I'm going with my business.
Awesome. All right, well, let's start with our questions. This is one of my favorite quotes. I have lots of favorite quotes, but this is one. Comparison is a thief of joy. And it's so easy for us to get wrapped up in the comparison game on social media. And we'll just go right down the line. How do the three of you handle that mindset of not getting wrapped up in comparing yourself when you're interacting on social media so much?
It stopped me for years in the beginning, because I thought I thought a luxury realtor had to look, walk, and talk a certain way. And so when I was making content, it came across as really inauthentic. And I felt like I couldn't really be myself and be taken seriously as a woman. And at the time, I've been in the business for almost 12 years. So I felt I had this insecurity and this voice in my head that said I wasn't good enough, or I wasn't smart enough, or it just wasn't enough. And I have to be honest, so many people have come up to me and they're like, how have you overcome it? It's a daily struggle. I still compare myself to other people. And the difference now is that I acknowledge that that voice of insecurity is simply that. It's a voice. It's not really me. And it's kind of like that fight or flight, biomechanics inside of you that's trying to protect you, but she don't serve me. So I often tell her, I hear you, you can shut up now. And I make the video anyway, and then you end up making a difference in someone's life, and it ends up being worth it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to just tag off of that and say it really helps when you do get feedback on social media, even if it's one little DM. It's like, ugh, who cares? Like, fuck the rest. Excuse my language. Can I say that?
Yeah, 6AMERS, no rules. Have fun. That's it.
Right. Well, and for me, I take it back to, I'm kind of a gym rat. And a lot of times I go in there and I throw around, whatever weight I can that day, and each day is different, right? You never go in there and you're just gonna smash 100 every single time. I think I'm just competing with myself. And so if I can just go and press, post on one little thing that maybe is better than I did last week or something different than I did the day before, that's a win for me. So that's how I get through it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So for me, social media came pretty late, and I'm still not good at it when we're talking about real estate and what we do. It was always hard for me because I didn't want to talk about what I just sold or what I just listed and pretty much anything about real estate. So the way that I got started was just to what makes me laugh, and the things that I like to watch. I would just want to bring that out and have the people in my audience and whoever's following me look and get a laugh at it, and that's still till today what I do is more talk about or post about things of either giving humor or giving value or giving something of myself to the audience, then creating direct engagement, which in turn comes back and it feeds relationships and business many times. And so for comparing myself to others, I actually don't compare myself to others. I feel like everybody's an individual. The more they express themselves, the more they show authenticity on social media. I praise that. So for me, I think it's about everybody just showing who you are, and that's the most important thing.
Awesome. Corinne, your turn.
Oh,
We're going to share, David. So one thing that I feel like all three of you do really well is you have fun with it, right? And I feel like so many people struggle with that, especially when you're building a personal brand that's benefiting your business. It's not something that everybody wants to do, but they kind of feel like they have to do it. So how have you found ways to make it fun, right? Because I'm sure you had those moments where you didn't want to create content. Like, how do you make it fun?
You want? David, let's go. Let's go with you, and then.
I feel like you are Mr. Fun on social media.
So I don't try to make it fun. I just try, for myself, everything's always a joke. Usually, with my kids, I'm playing pranks, and I just try to have fun with everything I do, with my work and the people I work with. I just really enjoy making people laugh. I love it when we could take an idea and do something and think multiple layers of depthness with it. When I post things, it's not just about a simple one story thing. When you look into the layers of the pictures, and there's a lot of thoughts. I just posted something today. Today's actually National Bring Your Kids to Work Day. And I brought my kids to work yesterday to film a couple of things. And if you watch the video, it's like something where everybody from the younger generation could take and appreciate the humor, like our age and older can understand, our inefficiencies or inequities or whatever you want to call it, of doing things. So for me, it's very simple to make it fun because that's what I'm just putting out there, and I'm vulnerable all the time too because a lot of times I'm making fun of myself too. And to be honest with you, those are the ones that really create the messages and the DMs that are coming in because I am, making fun of myself in a fun way where people could actually relate to. So.
How about you guys?
Michelle?
How do I make it fun? I guess the first thing that comes to mind was the latest was my this announcent.
What are you talking about?
Right,
what
yeah,
announcement are you referring
lunch.
to?
It's funny, they sometimes say, but make it real estate, right? So I thought I wanted to be business professional, but I also like to push it a little bit. And so I got into a blazer and some boy shorts and got in front of this hot new listing of colleagues of mine and said, new listing coming soon, brand new construction, baby boy, coming out this summer. And I think you just gotta not take yourself so seriously. It's real estate and we are making big changes in people's lives. But at the end of the day, throw in your spin on it, do just a cute video walking down the street checking. I love burritos. I do my favorite burrito all the time. And it could be something simple. It doesn't always have to tie in, but if you are gonna tie it in, it doesn't have to be so serious all the time. So that's how I think.
If you follow me, I have a little bit of everything. It's not always real estate. I think of anytime I'm going to share something, whether it's a 24-hour story or a post or a reel or anything like that, I think, who's my audience? And there are a lot of realtors out there who make content for other realtors, and I think that's so tone deaf. I make content for my friends, for my family, for my past clients, for people who may discover me in my neighborhood. I've gotten clients that way. They're like, I was in Target recently, okay? And I'm at the checkout line. And my 8-year-old son's with me. And this woman behind me starts putting stuff on the thing. And she goes, excuse me. She goes, are you a real estate agent? And I go, yeah. And my son's looking at me like, you don't know her. And I go, I am. She goes, are you Taya? And I go, yeah. And she goes, oh, I follow you. And I go, oh my gosh, thank you. She goes, I love your videos. They're so fun, right? They're informative, and you make me laugh, and I feel like I know you. And I go, oh, and I'm thinking she's a real estate agent, right? I go, where do you live? She goes, oh, I live in Hermosa, and my kids play soccer too. And in my head, I'm thinking, she's a real person. She's just like not another realtor that follows me. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so nice to meet you. Huh? And then my son goes, hey, Mom, like we're walking to the car, and he goes, are you famous? And I go, no. I'm like, I just make videos about real estate and sometimes some funny things. And he goes, oh, because for a second there, I thought you were a celebrity. And I'm like, okay. And I got a little giggle out of it, but that was reinforcement that when I do get that itch of like silliness, anything that makes me laugh, like on TikTok, it's all stand-up comedy. But it's not just funny stuff, it's like parenting tips too, right? Like maybe it's about how food dyes are having like adverse effects on children with ADD, and like it could be about anything. It doesn't have to be funny, but anytime something sparks inside of me that I'm like, the people need to know. They need to know how funny it is, they need to know how informative it is, and then I sprinkle in the proof of success about real estate, but most of the time, I'm posting about my life, and I'm treating it like a personal page rather than a business. And I feel like that has been so fruitful for me when I'm consistent with it.
That's great. And I think we all overthink so much, right? So I think it's just it's almost like if people could see how your true authentic self, they should, right? That's when we want to attract clients. We're not in there we're not going in a listing appointment not being ourselves. We're being ourselves.
Yeah, and they want to make a connection with you.
Exactly.
It's not necessarily that you're like, oh, she's, some hotshot who sells big, a lot of real estate. She's like, I like her, I trust her, and when the time comes for me to buy or sell, she's going to be one of the people I interview. Mission accomplished. It's all about building trust and relationships, and the only way you can attract that is if you're just being yourself and like you would if you were at like a networking event.
Yeah, love that. All right, so Taya, you do a brilliant job of creating personalities around homes. Recently, can you walk us through how you use social media to sell the Blanco Bungalow? And then what strategies did you use, and like what role did social media play in that sale?
Well, that was a combination of 3 things. Number one, my client had a small following. Like when we first met, I remind her, I'm like, my following was bigger than yours when we first met. And then she surpassed me because we did such a great job marketing it. But she had an Instagram page where she documented her renovation, right? And she called her house the Blanco Bungalow, and she, her design company was Blanco Bungalow. So when she hired me, I said, well, okay, our website will be by BUY, theblancobungalow.com. The hashtag will be by the Blanco Bungalow, et cetera, et cetera. We reached out to Compass PR. We said, we need you to help us. This is a unique story. Please help us leverage this. And before you know it, it grew legs. We were in Dwell Magazine. We were in the Long Beach Post. My father-in-law is calling me going, shit, someone's going to pay $1 million for that 2-bedroom house? I'm like, watch it. It's going to happen. But the lesson learned behind that, and that domain name got up 1 million views. It wasn't just social media, it was the property website got 1 million views. It was insane. I'm like, this is crazy town. But now I've taken that success on that small listing, and today I just launched the biggest listing of my career. It's 709 The Esplanade for 11.2 million. Thank you. And so the strategy behind that is okay, this house doesn't have its own Instagram page, but we could come up with like a catchy thing, because 709esplanade.com is like wah wah, right? So we brainstormed some ideas and we came up with escapetotheesplanade.com. So it's hashtag escape to the Esplanade, and we're doing this big buzz campaign coming soon, because you can legally do that and then launch a week later. So you can do all your digital marketing for a full week and then launch. And it's really been a great way to treat it like a movie that's coming soon.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this question is for you, Michelle. I feel like something you do really well is that balance of like bringing in the authentic you, when you talked about how you really love to work out and stuff, and you really do a good job of like pulling people in and making them feel like they know you, even maybe if they don't, right? So how do you kind of strike that balance of promoting your business, also, you know, letting people in and getting to know the real you, and also what kind of results have you seen in your business from that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. I think being in the fitness realm, I used to, you know, I've been teaching something called bar method for the past 15 years. And when I go to the gym, it's funny, my guy always teases me that I socialize more than I work out. And that's not always the case. But I think when I post a workout video, I'm not trying to be like a fitness influencer. But if it can just touch one person, it allows, they DM me and they say, gosh, oh my gosh, I would love to join you for a bar class. I mean, it's brought me closer to other agents in my community also. And you know, then they'll come to a bar class, and then they'll, you know, we'll form a friendship or a connection over that. And then we'll start talking about our lives and what I do, and she may know somebody and connect me with a friend of a friend, and then next thing I know, I'm talking real estate. So it's, again, I'm not trying to be a fitness influencer, but it's my passion, it's what I love to do, and I've gotten, you know, 3 great deals from my gym, and I have a whole community of really awesome women and some men from my bar studio. So and also I just want to touch back on what you said, Sky, like when you post something, infuse you, because even when I go to other real estate agents' page, I look and it's like all the same stuff from Marketing Center or just home, you know, pictures of homes. And I'm like, that's not going to be a fun follow. And I feel bad saying that, but it's like I want to see pictures of what you're doing outside of real estate. So for me, it's been really instrumental in my business in that way. So thank you.
Awesome. All right, David, your turn. Recently, you did a fundraiser via Instagram for Children's Hospital of LA. Can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind that, and then how can realtors use social media to give back to the community?
So the first time that I did something with the Children's Hospital was, I believe, about a year and a half ago. And what happened was one of my friend's daughter was at the Children's Hospital, and she had asked me if I would want to make a donation they have a March Matters campaign where they double the, you know, there's a sponsor who doubles the donation. So we decided to make it fun and have it interactive with our community, the realtors and all the friends that we had. And I dressed up as, it was National Barbie Day. And if you go to my post, you'll see, if you go to my feed, you'll see that I dressed up like as a pink Barbie. Kyla over here made a box and, you know, did all the costume work. And, you know, we ended up getting, you know, it was probably the most likes I ever had because, you know, I was dressed like a girl and doing a dance. But we were able to raise, I think, over like $8,000-9,000. Well, I said for every like that I get, I would give $1. You know, plus I was giving bonuses because of, you know, other people sharing things. And we used it with even a listing that we had. We threw a big party at a house that we were selling up in Bel Air, and we had everything. Like, as long as you share a story about it, and we're going to give an additional $5. But we raised like over $8,000 that one time. So then that month we did another one. You know, I had a McLaren, like a sports car, and we did a video post of that, like me playing with the toy car, and then it zooms out, and then I'm in the real car, and then I'm driving down the PCH here in Los Angeles and along the beach, and I pull into McDonald's, and then, you know, I go in, order a Happy Meal, and I pull out the toy car. So there was a whole story behind it, and that got a whole nother, you know, ton of likes on it. So, yeah, and from those two posts, I think I got probably at least 6 or 7 clients within 2 weeks of posting on that, and it was because I was getting a ton of DMs and just messages, and what I do is even if it's a like or like a DM, what I do is I message them back. I'll look at their feed, and I know you're probably going to talk about this later, but I actually try to really engage with those people, and a lot of times, when it would be normally just like a like or a heart or something like that, it becomes a conversation about, and I from that post, I talked to countless amount of people that were having difficulties with, health issues and their parents and like their children and whatever it was, and those conversations ended up getting on a phone call, and then the relationships that I built with agents across the country, people in my sphere I hadn't talked to in like years, things that create them to message you for any reason is an opportunity that, they're pretty much laying it right in front of your face. If you don't try to engage on a deep personal level, you're blowing opportunity just to keep in touch with your sphere, build a referral network. And then, so constantly I've been doing posts. And for me, we talked about happiness, or this guy was talking about happiness earlier today. For me, giving makes me happy. Giving is my true happiness. Like when I'm filling somebody's bucket, that fills my tank. And then, when I'm able to serve, that's like, it gives me purpose, and like I'm able to have fun with it because it is what brings me joy. For me, and everybody else can have their own things that, bring them the joy. But if people see that, if people see it, they will engage with you. They will talk to you. They will message you. So, giving for me to the charity has been such a rewarding thing. I just started a nonprofit last year, and we're just taking it to a whole nother level. For me, my mission in life is going to be to now, not step away from real estate, but like to do more of like what's actually bringing me the joy, which I found through doing something with social media.
Awesome. Thank you.
That is amazing. That's awesome. So this is for all three of you. I think one thing that a lot of people struggle with is, just they feel like they have to keep up with the trends, right? And social media is always evolving. There's always like a new platform popping up, and that could feel a little overwhelming. So what are some things that you do to stay on top of the trends, or maybe just like kind of stay focused? Are there any tools or anything that you kind of like rely on to kind of stay on top of the trends and produce your content?
Okay, I'll go first. I don't do trends.
Nice.
Ooh, caught you off guard with that one. And that's not just to be a contrarian, but I have found that if I'm running out of ideas, sure, if something makes me laugh, and I'm like, I could put a Taya spin on that, and I could make it real estate, sure. But most of the time, my MO of my formula for success is to be the knowledge broker, right? To have my Taya's 2 cents videos. And lately I've been incorporating more of some, I guess you could call it 6AMER type content, right? Like my last Taya's 2 cents was about imposter syndrome. And it got great feedback, and it's like just being a human, right? And having these bite-sized, consumable, shareable pieces of content that are either going to make someone laugh, be informed, or just entertained, inspired, something like that. So my Taya's 2 cents videos are like my thing, right? Like that's what I like to do. And I know that it is trendy to play on what you asked. Like it is trendy in our industry to flex your knowledge about what's going on. So if there is ever a format of casual type content that I jump on, it's in the vein of knowledge broker. And I'll give you an example. So on TikTok and also on Instagram, if you are gonna create a video, you can use the green screen filter, right? So I can take a picture of a Wall Street Journal article, and I can put it behind me, and I can talk about my opinion, because there's research that's been done that shows that people are more likely to watch a video that has a human in it than just posting something to your stories and not even writing what your opinion is. But if it's you with your face, you're going to get more interaction. So as far as trends go, that's something, if it's in the vein of knowledge broker, I'll do it. But as far as entertaining and being funny and that sort of, because not everybody does that. right? It's like if it suits your personality and your brand and being silly and goofy and funny is your thing, go for it. If that's totally out of character for you, don't do it. You're gonna look like you're thirsty. And that's another way, that's what the kids say, right? You're like desperate. You're thirsty. In the dating world, you could be thirsty too, but that's for another time. But the point is that you need to do what feels right for you, something that feels comfortable for you. And if you do have ideas that are creative, keep a note section on your phone. Like every time I have it, like the Kristen Wiig thing, like people kept telling me, you know, you remind me of Kristen Wiig. And so every time I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do something where I'm like mouthing the words to the Californians. You know, it's just like, Stuart, you know, like something about like the 405 and the 10, whatever. So I did a video about that, but that wasn't trending. But that was something that if you're consuming content on a regular basis, you will innately get inspired. But just keep notes on it, otherwise it's like, gone.
Love it. How about you?
I mean, I think there's one thing in like checking stats and keeping current matters and going on and plugging in all the data. I think that's one thing, but I think there's something to be said for connecting with other agents in your area, even outside your area, what's going on. And I know that that was really a beneficial way for, I'm gonna bring her up. My mom has been in real estate for over 20 years, and she was super instrumental in me starting, my career. And she would shake. She could not get on camera. She just couldn't do it. And I had probably a little bit more confidence than that, but I found that us together, rapping about what was happening in the market, what she was seeing with her buyers versus me with my buyers, we're probably an hour away in terms of our farm and our areas. But we would, so what are you seeing trending out when you show property? What are you seeing trending with you? And then we would just jot out like a quick, 10-minute thing, run our lines really quick. And then it's really embarrassing. It's very low budget. It's, we would stack a table and some books and a thing, and like, it would probably, a big exhale would blow it all over. But we would set up our phone and some ring lights, and we would just shoot the shit together back and forth. And we found that we had so many bloopers that we would start the video. I gave it to a guy to edit. That's as far as I would go with hiring someone for it. And he would just open with bloopers so that it was attention grabbing, and then we'd keep it really short. I called it 5 minutes with mom or something like that, real estate 5 minutes with mom. And we would just talk about what we were seeing in the market, and that's it. And she got so much, she's more of a Facebook, I'm more of an Instagram. But you know what, both work. And she got so much engagement from Facebook, and I got so much engagement saying, oh my God, this is great, you guys are so funny. And I think it could be very grassroots like that. It doesn't have to be so overly thought out and overproduced with all these numbers and data. It can just be what you're seeing.
And I love that you brought up that you kind of just stacked up books and stuff, because I think that's another thing that people get overwhelmed by. They feel they have to have the fancy equipment, right, to make the best of it. It's really just about just making the content, right? Like with whatever you have, and if that means stacking up books or whatever, just going with it. I love that.
And that's trendy right now. I'm serious. When my 8-year-old watches YouTube shorts, that shit's not highly produced.
Oh, I know. I have a 9-year-old with a YouTube
right?
channel.
They watch these videos, and it's like, that was so dumb. And there's no professional mic. There's no cinematography. It's like guerrilla style video.
Totally.
But I mean, if that's where things are going, then we're going to save a lot of money.
Totally. Yes. Good point. How about you, David?
So for me, I don't really follow anything with pop culture, or I'm like the worst when it comes to talking about anything, even real estate. So what I do for social media is, I look at sometimes like current events and maybe post about it, but more or less, I think, you guys talked about it earlier today too. So what makes me happy is looking at a calendar every month, and I look at the national days, because nowadays there's a national day for anything you could think of. This guy, the cameraman's shirt, the Big Mac, that's like one of my favorite things right there in the world. I love it, by the way. But so if there's a national Big Mac day, I mark it on my calendar. Or there could be a national, like I said, today was National Bring Your Kids Day. But there's so many different things that everybody has interest in, and if you just look at the calendar and pick those days out and do something entertaining, bring your personality out, it hits a lot of people, because you don't realize how many people actually are into the same things that you are. You don't realize they're going to comment on it. They're going to say, this is my favorite thing too. We do it all the time. So that to me is, how I find my trendy things. I look at the national days and then, just bring out my personality from that, and I'll twist, make a little twist out of it. So
Love that. That's great. All right, so if everyone in this room knows, and you guys know, I am a fanatic about the CRM. And the reason why is because the R in CRM is relationships, right? How do the three of you leverage social media to build and maintain your relationships? Similar to the way you would use a traditional CRM, but using it within social. What are some either outside the box ways or really tactical ways that you build relationships within social media? Taya, we'll just start going.
Sure. This is going to be really rudimentary, very simple, but it works for me. And it's something everybody in this room can do. So I have a weekly newsletter, and now I send it out 2 times a week. I've been bad about that, but it'll
okay.
come back.
We'll talk
but
later.
I without fail send it once a week. And actually Ari was the one who inspired me into the weekend, back in 2017, which he knows was a nod to him. So, but I have my weekly newsletter where I have public collections of every open house in my area, right? So there'll be a link for open house Manhattan Beach, Redondo Beach, Hermosa Beach, and then I say luxury homes over $10 million. There's a public collection. There's one for homes with pools, right? So every single week, I'm sending everybody these public collections with pretty icons on them. But then I also tell them what's going on in the community that weekend, right? So Beach Life is coming up. It's an outdoor music festival in Redondo Beach. So every single week there's something going on, but I always make sure to not isolate people who don't have families, right? So maybe there's a fun, I don't know, wine tasting event or whatever. Moms like that too. Anyway, the bottom line is that on my Instagram page, if you go to my link in bio, it has all of those public collection links that I put every week in my Into the Weekend newsletter. And every time I send that out, in my CRM, I have them tagged, right? So every time I get a new client, every time I go to an open house, every time I meet someone, I actually ask them permission. And I say, hey, I have this fantastic newsletter. Would that be okay if I added you? Because I hate getting spam, and I promise you, we work really hard on this. It's really, really valuable stuff. People plan their weekend in Manhattan Beach around my newsletter. And they're like, well, shit, send it our way, And so now we're all connected through my CRM. I can see if they're clicking on stuff. I can track it. And I've actually gotten buyers closed deals that way. I'm in escrow with someone right now who I didn't convert them from a lead on a postcard to a real life buyer closed deal. Now we're doing our second deal together. Until I picked up the phone and said, hey, Tom, can I please add you to my newsletter? He said, sure. Within 90 days, I had him under contract. I had no idea he was even looking. So that's a perfect, simple example of not really spending any money. These are free Compass proprietary tools that work if you work them. You just have to be really consistent and quality. It can't be canned. It has to be thoughtful.
Michelle?
I lean on my bar community. I have a whole tab in my CRM with my bar girls, and I've just found it really wonderful to, not only for my heart and for my business, but to check on them, just how they're doing, physically, spiritually, how are they making it through, post-pandemic. And I just keep it very about that. And I think that, back when we were kind of coming, I think, was it during the pandemic when you were doing it with Lance?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coaching at Compass?
Yeah,
or,
A, B, C, D.
Yeah,
I watched it all. And so they're really helpful in organizing your CRM. I never thought about asking anybody to send my newsletter, though. That's really smart.
And then you put the link in your Instagram that says, sign up for my weekly newsletter. I'm not kidding you. I get a new sign up every single day.
Yeah, that's
And
wonderful.
I've grown it from 75 people. That's all. I did not want any more than that. I wanted people who actually wanted my shit. Right? I didn't want to spam them. That was my goal. And now the list is 781.
Wow.
Yeah.
Over what period of time?
Since I started. So I would say beginning, spring of 2018.
Wow. That's
So
impressive.
slowly. And that's how people who are not on Instagram will know about my Taya's 2 Cents videos. They'll know about my social media because they're getting the newsletter every single week. Because not everybody is on social media all the time. So you have to think of creative ways to keep in touch with them and monitor your CRM and all of like your bar method people or anybody that you meet at these charities, if you get their mailing address and put them into the CRM, the AI will tell you that they're interested in buying or selling. And you may have, you're like, there's no way. They just bought like 2 years ago. And then you call them to just shoot the breeze and you're like, get the hell out of here. It's so weird that you called me. We need to sell. And you're like, okay, this is a little scary. We won't tell them. But the AI works. But you have to put in their actual physical address in order for it to work.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, or they can just find that. Oh, really? I don't find
Swear to
that.
God.
Coach on.
I don't.
Swear to God.
So really,
If you have their mailing address,
because I've had girls pop up in my likely to sell who
Yes.
I never knew where they lived.
possible.
Yeah, so I feel really stalkerish now.
No, don't. be.
don't question it.
We're so
Just call
lucky
'em.
though
Just do it.
on that tip. Yeah.
David, how about you? How do
So-
you use social media to connect with your relationships?
So social media, what I do is it's not as advanced system as Tez is, but
It's very simple.
like for me, what I do is I'm sure everybody has a whole bunch of realtors that they have relationships around the country, right? And it's always difficult when somebody asks, "Who do you have? Do you know somebody in St. Louis or whatever it is?" Right? For me, I had a hard time like finding the people who I was corresponding with on social media. It was very difficult for me to look through all the messages and try to find out who that was because sometimes you're going a month or 2 months back. So what I do is I actually take the name. Usually they're in the Compass, in my phone somehow already because they're in the Compass database. But then I'll go in and I'll put on the, I'll add a tag that says, or I'll add a note on the name that says Denver agent or whatever. So I'm constantly adding those notes to my phone, and that's for like the referral network. For a lot of things that we do with social media and also our newsletters too. Our newsletters are not like the typical real estate newsletters or like the most agents are probably sending things from Marketing Center, and they look very similar. We do completely different things. We have, we talk about things that it pertains to everybody no matter what time of the year it is, right? Like people want to always think about their health, they want to think about finances, they want to think about like life hacks, and they want to think about like humor. When we send out newsletters, a lot of time, almost every single time I send a newsletter, I'll get a listing out of it. Because of a conversation that happens. There's been newsletters where we have like over 1,000 people just responding to the newsletters too, and every single time somebody does respond to a newsletter, we put them in a CRM. I don't know how that gets into the CRM, but for us, we use Follow Up Boss and just automatically appears, and we could leave notes and we could leave tags. And when I last talked to them, and a lot of the people in my sphere, the conversations that happen from me sending a newsletter, we're almost never talking about real estate, but I'll make a note of what we talked about. Sometimes they're going to say their kid's graduating or whatever it is, and then I'll make those types of notes and put an action, like a call to action, on my CRM, and then I'll message them like a few months later, and I'm just constantly updating things with notes and then setting up alerts to remind me to reach out to this person about something, check up on them, see how their mother's feeling or whatever it is, So. I'm not sure if that answers the social media question, but
That's great. So last question, and then I think we're going to wrap up. I know you guys have been sitting here a long time. My last question, we'll try to make this quick, I want you guys to be really authentic and honest. When has social media made you not happy?
How long do we have?
Yeah. I guess, and the reason why I'm asking that question is because of the fact that I think for a lot of realtors, like they avoid it, because of the fact they look at people like you guys and say, well, I'm not going to do a funny post that's going to raise money. I'm not going to do a fitness post that's going to, inspire people. And I'm not going to do this tip post. Like, I don't know what to do, so I'm not going to do anything. So I want you guys to almost like be authentic about when it didn't make you happy and maybe how you overcame it. Does that make sense? I know it's a tough question.
So recently,
Sorry.
I have not been in the mood to do. God damn it. I have not been in the mood. And I know that, and this is why I posted that video recently about imposter syndrome, because, everybody in this room, and I guess we're like streamed too, huh? Yeah. Oh shit. Fuck. Thank you. Everyone in this room, in this very moment, is either dealing with a loss, like a death, maybe a drug or alcohol problem privately, maybe someone who's terminally ill, maybe it's a divorce, maybe it's a child who, is having problems at school. All of us have shit going on all the time. And in my, short, almost 41 years, I've recently had this epiphany that the shit doesn't stop. And that it's never always going to be happy. It's never always going to be easy. You're not gonna wake up one day and shit's just gonna flow. You have to take the good with the bad. There is good because there is bad. And my therapist said to me recently that, emotions are temporary, right? You are not depressed. You are not sad. You are also not happy. Those are feelings. And just like a person who can walk in the room and sit down next to you, they can come and go. The door's always open. So depression can walk in the room and that bitch can sit down right next to you. And joy can also sit right next to you too. And they can exist at the same time. So you have to learn how to recognize that the hardship is temporary and the joy is temporary. So if you recognize that the joy is temporary, you can savor it like a sweet dessert, because it's not going to last forever, and that's not depressing. That's just life. So sometimes I let it get the best of me. And if I'm feeling inauthentic, I don't want to film shit. And then I want to, what am I going to do? Share really depressing stuff? No, I do send it privately. I send some dark shit in the DMs. So, if you get some like crazy, deep, heady stuff, DM it to me. I will appreciate it. I love that stuff. But my point is, without going on and on and on forever, is that you are mistaken if you think anyone up here is always in the fucking mood. So, in fact, I think the reason why there's a separation between the good and the great, or people who really learned how to sharpen that tool and flex that muscle over and over and over again, is because we show up even when we don't feel like it. And that's what makes people really successful. And I have found that in my dark time last year, when I was really struggling, the only thing that kept the lights on was my Tea's 2 Cents videos. If I didn't have those videos, the phone wouldn't have rang. I only had agent referral business last year. Like, without that, I would have really been screwed. And this year, when anybody else have a shitty fourth quarter? Like 6 figures worth of gross commission fall apart? Fun times, Merry Christmas. Closing a deal in November and then not having another closing until March. And sometimes it's your fault because you didn't work hard enough, but sometimes you're working hard and shit's just not working. And if I didn't show up when I didn't want to, I wouldn't have the business that I have today. So when I wasn't in the mood in the fourth quarter and shit was falling apart, the first week of January, I dusted myself off and I was like, fuck it. You know what? I'm just gonna do what I do best, and I believe in a higher power, and I believe that if I'm doing the thing and showing up every day, that it'll work out. And it did. And I'm doing great. And I feel like I'm gonna have a really fantastic year. But don't get it twisted. Like, I show up and make those videos when I'm not feeling it. But in the moment, I know it's temporary. I suck it up. I look at the camera, and I am genuine in those videos. But when the cameras turn off and I go home, sometimes I cry. I was fucking crying today. You know what I mean? But I know it's temporary. So that you gotta give yourself some grace, you guys. Stop expecting perfection. It's totally played out. You can come back to my TED Talk another time. I'll shut up. But anyway, that was a very deep question.
Yeah.
And we can talk later over drinks, but
Well,
That's my 2 cents.
incredible. Yeah. Well, with your permission, guys, I would love to continue. I definitely need to give everyone a break. We have our keynote coming up.
I just hogged that.
Drop the mic. Yeah. You're good. Yeah. Taya, David, Michelle, Taya, thank you so much for your authenticity, your leadership, your guidance. Corinne, thank you for sort of leading this as well, leading the charge, and helping me with all my social media as well. And thank you to everyone for listening. My hope is you get inspired to show your true self out there. Like, the world deserves to know you. They deserve to know you in your authenticity. And if there's something you can do today, just be authentic and don't think about it and don't worry about it. And know that when that worry hits your mind, every single person in front of you has that same exact feeling. I worry about people thinking I'm a bad father because I travel for work, right? And Corinne, she curates my social media posts to make it look like I travel all the time. And, and I worry about that, right? But at the end of the day, I also know I'm going to inspire some people. I'm going to drive some people. And so you always have to go back to what is this good that I'm going to create, and know that voice in my head is just a voice. And if someone is judging me, that does not make me, doesn't mean anything to me, and I don't care. I'm going to be the light. I'm not going to care about giving the light to anyone else. So thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.